Remakes of Western films do not have a glorifying history in India, do they? So when Netflix announced that Akash Bhatia and company were making a remake of the 1998 classic time-looping German film Run Lola Run, we had our doubts. And we started watching the 131 minutes long movie with very little expectation. Did it disappoint or did it outshine? Let's jump right into it.
Shut up and sit down.
Direction and writing. See, the concept here is nothing new. Savi, played by Taapsee, gets 3 chances to change the outcome of a plot. Much like the classic video games where an unsuccessful attempt restarts at the saved spot and where you try to win the game this time. We have seen this in Russian Doll and also in Taapsee's own Game Over. But yes, there must have been a lot of pressure on Akash Bhatia because this was openly a remake of experimental cinema of the year. But does it still remain relevant after 24 years? And an even larger question would be, will the Indian audiences accept it? Well, it took 4 writers to make this adaptation work. Vinay Chawla, Ketan Pedgaonkar, Akash Bhatia and Arnav Nanduri. But it does work. They have Indianized the plot wherever possible. But if you haven't watched the original, this Goa-based plot is well crafted. The 3 side stories of a cabbie, a jeweler and Savi's father are so well woven into the story that they never really feel out of place. The dialogues are witty and never over the top, and at the same time just sufficient, except for the mythology bit of Savitri and Satyavan, which could have been a tad bit crisper. Speaking of mythology, that is the extent to which the writers have Indianized the story and have made it their own, while also sticking to the core concept as well. While some of the choices, such as the bit with the turkey, may seem overly dark for the Indian taste, but if you accept it as awkward dark humor and move on, it passes quickly. One thing that we do want to mention separately is the way the movie treats the LGBTQ issue. It's a part of the narrative, never becoming too overwhelming or preachy, just a character trait, like it should be. And we really think that was a job well done. Plus, this movie continues the recent trend of female-centric movie plots and we continue to enjoy this way while it lasts. The pace is a little uneven though. The story jumps right into Savi's conundrum, then takes a step back to give her and the other characters some background, then once again resumes its fast pace. Okay, we do understand that character development is what the writers were shooting for, but whenever the brisk pace broke, we found ourselves eager for it to resume so we can find out how the next loop will conclude. There is a ticking timer in each loop, but sometimes it loses its significance. Barring that, we really don't think there is much to complain about. The production designs and the sets work very well to put you right into the mix of things, sometimes giving the dark, Delhi belly kind of feel, and other times taking a complete detour into the bizarre. And did you notice, the writers gave a tip of the hat to the original with Lola Cab Company and a red-haired woman randomly appearing in the casino and asking Savi to run. Nice touch. And the 3 O's in the title stand for the 3 chances that the lead gets. Yes makers, we noticed it. And the story ends on a note that leaves much to the imagination, the kind we like the best. Overall, for a concept that is really strange, its Indianization has been handled just about right. And although there are moments where we felt the movie might flee away, it bounces right back and intrigues you once again. Akash & Co. make the 131 minutes worth your while in this medium-paced narrative. Direction and writing are sweet.
The cinematography. Have you ever seen inside a kaleidoscope? Well, that is what this movie will feel like. The tinted screen, colors everywhere, Ram Gopal Verma style skewed shots, screen going into spirals, the aspect ratio changing too suddenly. What all this boils down to is Yash Khanna using every trick in the book to create on-screen urgency that in places works really well but takes some getting used to. Eventually, you sort of miss the quirkiness once the dust settles. Cinematography is absolutely sweet. The music. There was no way this movie's urgency would have worked without the brilliance of its music. The background score by Rahul Pais and Nariman Khambata go very well with the pace of the movie, for instance in chase sequences. And we particularly enjoyed the title track and other songs by Siddhant Mago, Mayank Mehra and Shantanu Ghatak as well. It's original, it's different, and it needs your attention now. Music is sweet. The acting. Well guys, we really have to say the only department that this film lags just a little bit is in the acting. Don't get us wrong, some of the individual performances are mind-blowing. Take Shreya Dhanwanthary for instance. Her monologue as Julia in one of the loops is just spectacular. Much like that of Kartik Aaryan from Pyar Ka Panchnama. She has really been impressive in her last few appearances and this is no exception. Similarly, after the chilling performance in Andekhi, Dibyendu Bhattacharya really delivers a delightful performance as Victor. Sameer Roy as Jacob the cabbie is believable as a local Goan and gives a good performance in his limited screen time. Raghav Kakker and Manik Papneja as Appu Gappu brother duo have a brilliant chemistry and deliver some hilarious bits seamlessly. KC Shankar as Atul Borkar and Varun Pande as his partner Yash deliver just the right amount of energy required for boxing characters in a fix. Another charming performance was by Bhupesh Bandekar as Inspector David, who has us in splits in every loop. Now on to the leads. This is definitely Tahir's year to shine. He's been appearing in one unique story after the other. His character here is both quirky and dark, and at times it is also sweet and childish. Also sometimes outright stupid. And Tahir as Satya once again impresses with his performance. Although probably not a performance he'd be remembered for, he really does stand out as a performer here. Once again showcasing the spectrum of his talent. Dare we say. This performance works much better than the one in Ye Kali Kali Aankhein for dark humor. Can't wait to see your next one, Tahir. By the way, if you haven't checked out the reviews of Ye Kali Kali Aankhein, the link is in the description and above. And lastly, Taapsee as Sabina is the one performance we are not extremely thrilled about. Let's get one thing out of the way first. What Taapsee lacks in on-screen emotions, she makes up for by picking unique, enjoyable scripts. And her effort to stay fit and appear as a runner is really showing on screen, which we applaud. She's been running in most of her movies where her character has some kind of sports background which works for her. But here in places, the dark humor would have been even more elevated if Taapsee was able to deliver the dialogues with more confidence and a little more emotion. When she screams in the casino, she's probably the most believable and exciting to watch. We have high expectations from her, which is why we would only call this an above average performance. We want to see more of what we saw in Thappad and Mulk. But thanks Taapsee for once again picking a unique script. Acting is between sweet and sour, but tending more towards the sweet.
The bottom line. Watch it for a fitting ode to the original with a screenplay adapted well for the Indian audiences. A unique story told in a quirky way. A much needed change in the Indian cinema. A medium paced narrative and delightful individual performances. Don't watch it if time loop or any other sci-fi concept is difficult for you to grasp in an Indian context. And if you're going to compare it to the original. We believe this one should be watched without any preconceived notions or expectations because although paying homage to the original in its plot, it is uniquely adapted for Indian audiences and should be watched as a movie in its own right without any comparisons. What did you think of the movie? Did you enjoy it as much as we did? Or did you feel it could have been better? Let us know in the comment section. This is Viewerscart signing off. Until next time.